So, hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Speak Easy. I am your host, Author Tracie L, the voice coach, not a voice coach, but the voice coach, coming to you to give you literally, I think we're like at 54 for episodes when it comes to the Speak Easy podcast. And Speak Easy is all about you talking about the behind the scenes, us talking about the behind the scenes of what it is to be a speaker or an author. So today's guest, if you can't see the excitement, you might want to clean off the lenses and look again. I am so super excited about talking to my guest for today, and that is Miss Tracie L. James. She is a sales and marketing professional turned leadership strategist, corporate trainer, and speaker. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's funny because I was looking at her bio. And I even said this before we started recording. I said, oh my goodness, I was looking at your bio and I was like jumping for joy because there's so many things we can discuss. So I'm going to have to kind of reel it in as much as possible. But guys, you all know, you've watched Speak Easy before. So you know, this is a free-flowing conversation, and we talk about all things, anything that have to do with the speaking or the writing. And so she has 20 years in corporate educational programs and nonprofit. And that part really stood out to me because as someone who's dealt with corporate and nonprofit and educational programs, the leadership structure across all three of those, oh my goodness, is such a huge gap between the leadership structure. The mentality, the work ethic, all between those three specifically are really broad. So I love that she is the author of Excuse-Proof Leadership, because she can give you some details that other people may not be able to give you when they're looking at a leadership model. They may be looking at it from just one perspective. And we know, if you've been watching Speak Easy for any number of time, you know that perspective is everything. How you see things can definitely change if you're going to be successful or not. That part, yeah. And so I did say that leadership varies greatly across these three areas. Oh my goodness. So before I keep rambling on, Tracie, hi Tracie.
Oh, I am so glad to be with you.
I'm super excited having you here. So of course I want to jump in on that last piece that I said, was that, you know, when you think about leadership across all three of those particular industries, was there something that was similar? And what was the biggest thing that you saw that was different amongst the three?
Well, one of the things I found was that what enables you to be successful is consistent. If you know who you are, know what your strengths are, and you function in your strengths, you will be successful. Trying to recreate yourself because you're now in a different industry, in a different company, actually is more detrimental to you than anything else. Because when you went in and you interviewed, you didn't know how anyone else in this organization functioned. You were you. So they hired you for who you were. Don't change yourself once you're in there and you start saying, oh, well, I'm standing out too much. No, baby, you were created to stand out. So stand out. And so I did learn that. And the differences, oh my God. The stark differences between being in corporate and then going into a nonprofit organization. And this is the thing, I've worked in small nonprofits, medium-sized nonprofits, and large nonprofits, national, international nonprofit organizations. And the truth of the matter is, even the large nonprofit organizations still are not as structured as corporate. And then when you get into education, God bless our children, because there's a disconnect that happens. The thing is, oftentimes the people who become administrators are often the people who were not the best educators. And I know I done stepped on somebody's toes, and you know what? Old me would say, I'm sorry, but new me says, okay, say ouch, because that's the reality. And it's that actually in corporate as well. Sometimes you promote the best salesperson and they're the worst manager. Because just because you have the technical skill set does not mean you have the people skills to lead. And that's what I find a lot of times when I'm working, is that you can do this job great. You're awesome. You can go and you can close multi-million-dollar deals, but you couldn't lead a person out of a paper bag. Because you don't have respect for other people. You don't communicate with them with respect, and you don't treat people like they're worthy. You talk down to people. You play favorites. You lead in a manner. Actually, no, I'm gonna rephrase that. You're not leading, you're managing. So you manage things. You lead people. And when you enter your position from the mindset that I'm leading them, but you're truly managing, you'll never have followers. You're just taking a walk by yourself, as John Maxwell says. You're not leading. You taking a walk by yourself.
Ooh-wee. Look, I told y'all guys, y'all listen. I told y'all, y'all see why I was so excited about this interview? Like beyond excited. And you know, when you think about the whole leadership standpoint, I definitely agree. I've been a part of the Department of Recreation for Philadelphia. I've been a part of these different programs, and you see different things. It's always different when you can see behind the veil.
That's it.
It's
girl,
always different.
Started talking about the church.
It's always different when you see behind the veil, because when you see in the forefront, everything may work perfectly fine, or so you think.
Right.
But when you pull back that curtain and you see them hamsters on the wheel, and you see the rats over here taking things from point A to point B to point F, you're like, what is this?
Dysfunctional all the way around.
Exactly. So now in putting together this first book, the Excuse Proof Leadership, and putting that together, what was your motivation for putting it together? Was it that you saw what was going on and you said, you know what, I'm sick of this and I'm sick of you and we got to do something different? Or was it more of, I'm sick of this, but I know that somebody is going to need this book before they get into this position?
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of was a combination of both. When I made the decision to make a shift from working for somebody else full time and working for myself again, I went on this somewhat of a personal exploration to figure out who Tracie is and what her purpose is. And what I found out was that I actually had already been doing exactly what I'm doing right now. I just hadn't monetized it. And it's amazing how other people see in you who you truly are, but you don't see it. My grandmother told me when I was about 13 years old, around 12 or 13, we had a conversation in the car. She asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, proudly, I want to be Debbie Allen. And for those of you who are millennials, just look up Debbie Allen, okay? But those who are over 40, you know who Debbie Allen is. And I saw myself, I wanted to dance and act and produce and direct and television and Broadway and all of that. I even wanted to go to Howard University and major in theater just like she did. That was just how ingrained I was in who she was, who she is. She's still awesome. And my grandmother said to me, just very calmly, she said, baby, you can't be Debbie Allen. And I was like, why not? You said I could be anything I want to be. She said, baby, you can't be Debbie Allen because Debbie Allen is Debbie Allen. Now at 12, 13, you know, I didn't get that, right? But flashing back just a couple of years ago, I got it. I figured out that I was pursuing a life and a goal that was intended for me to emulate someone else instead of me figuring out who I was supposed to be authentically. And my grandmother told me, she said, "You're going to be an educator." And I was like, "I ain't gonna be no teacher." You know? And I remember when I was like, I don't like children. I do not want, but children were drawn to me and they would drive me nuts. I was like, why are y'all bothering me? But it's one of those things that even on the playground, when I was a kid, I was teaching people how to hula hoop right. You ain't doing that right. Let me show you how to do it. Or how to kick the kickball and not get out at first base. You know, that was what I was doing. And I've always been that. I've been that person that people have come to for advice. And so what happened was I found myself constantly having people come to me for advice on how to navigate the corporate ladder to grow their careers. You know, women executives who were hitting walls, hitting glass ceilings. And then I also was being approached by entrepreneurs who were struggling with getting their businesses structured right and trying to put together the right team for success. And it all started to make sense. It started to come together. And so one of the things I made the decision to do when I said I was going to do it, I said I was going to do it differently this time. This is my third venture into being an entrepreneur. The first time was out of desperation from being laid off. And I tried out being a certified diversity trainer. I had no clue what I was doing about trying to start a business. And after about 6 months, I was back in corporate America. I was like, this is for the birds. I can't do this. So the second time was when I was going through my divorce. I needed a way to make money. And because I hadn't worked in a few years while I was married. And so I went back and I said, okay, well, I was always teaching dance when I was in college. I said, that's something quick I can do. And I just said, I'm going to do some summer camps and make some quick cash. And that's what I did. And it ended up turning into a business that I operated for about 4 or 5 years before I divested and gave the accounts to 2 young women who were graduating from college with their degree in dance. So when I did this one, I said, I'm doing it right this time. I'm going to have a clear plan. I'm gonna have a clear direction, and I'm gonna figure out how am I going to make a living. And so I invested in a coach, and it was amazing. I literally, my mind is still blown. It was September 19th, 2016. That day, that was the day. We sat down, and within the first hour of my day session, we had a framework for this book. And all he did was ask me what I was good at. Tell me about a time when you were successful here and you're successful there. And excuse-proof leadership was born that day. He said, you do things regardless. And that's one of my favorite words too. Well, regardless, I'm doing it, you know. So, and it came together. And as I wrote the book, and let me tell you something, it ain't nothing but a notion to sit down and decide to write a book. Because initially I thought the book was going to be my life story. Truthfully, I thought that was the direction I was heading in. I said, I'm probably going to be a life coach. That's what I'm going to have to go do. I'm going to have to go get certified and all of this. And as I went through my coaching journey, I realized, you know what? No, I do a little bit of life coaching because sometimes you have to get people out of the negative into the positive before you can move them into the actual business tactics. But because I have worked in so many different industries, business is my space. Leadership is my calling. So this book itself was created to help leaders have a strategy that no matter what industry they're in, they can be successful. Because it teaches them about having the right structure to lead their people and develop their people, which ultimately ensures you're going to have followers. Because when people know you believe in them and care enough to pour into them, they'll follow you anywhere.
Yes, indeed. They sure enough will. And you
Mm-hmm.
just said like you just dropped like 3,000 nuggets. And I'm like sitting here going, this is so good. This is so good. This is so good. But one of the things that you said is that, he asked you the question, what are you already good at? What do you
Mm-hmm.
already know? And, I did a segment where I talked about, the things that you can write a book about. And I said,
Right.
so many times people think, oh, that's not something I can write about. Why isn't it?
Right.
Why
That's true.
isn't it?
And until I wrote this, I felt the same way. I've always thought that I was supposed to have written a book. I have a couple of binders. Yeah, I'm still old school. I have binders back from when I first started saying I was going to write the next great American novel when I was in college. So I still have a lot of that paper where I was writing this book, and then I paused on it and then started it again in my 20s and started it again in my 30s. And so when I decided to write this book this time, I said, you know what? I'm finishing this book. And I committed to it. And I'm thankful for the fact that I was smart enough to do two things. One, I had a coach. And because I was paying this coach, I needed some return on my investment. Number one. Number two, I was smart enough to share it with the right people who held me accountable and who checked on me. How many pages did you write today? How many words did you write today? So what you doing this weekend? Are you writing? Do you need me to come get Mike? I will come pick him up so you can write. And literally, it was that whole thing of having that circle of people pushing me. And I have a friend who passed last year, who for many years had been pushing me to do what I'm doing right now. And even though he's not here to see all I'm doing now, the one thing I am very thankful for is that before he passed, he saw me walking this out. And he was able to he actually read some of the first few pages I wrote, first few chapters of the book, and he was like, I'm going to help you edit this. We getting this out. And so he's my angel, and I have his picture on my dresser. And whenever I start to feel like I can't do this, I go and I take a look at his picture, and I can hear him saying to me, you got this. You can do this. Mm-hmm. So having the idea, and this is the thing, your story connects to somebody. I truly believe that when it comes down to our purpose, there are people who are destined for you to help. There are people who are waiting for you to walk in your purpose. And when I really grasp that, it ain't about me. I'm a vessel. I'm being used. And sometimes we get caught up in our head and it's, okay, is my hair right? Do I have on the right outfit? Is the lighting right? All of this kind of stuff. And we forget that the whole purpose of your experience is to share it and to help somebody else. And when I remember that, I can go through anything because that's the why. The why is not about Tracie anymore. In my 20s, I wanted to make a mark for me. I wanted to make money. But now, I want to make an impact. I want to leave a legacy. I have 2 sons, and my oldest decided to try to make me feel old real fast and give me 3 grandchildren. And 3 absolutely beautiful grandchildren. And I love them. I absolutely adore those kids. And I want to leave them something. My grandparents had a huge impact in my life. And I remember when they both passed, how people would come up to me and tell me stuff like, did you know that your grandfather did this for me? He truly changed my life. Did you know that your grandmother did this for me and it made all the difference and it enabled me to be where I am today? And if I can have at least one person say that about me when I'm gone, I feel like my life was worth living. And for my kids and my grandkids, I want something for them to be able to follow. I don't know if they'll ever want to do what I'm doing right now, but if they do, I'm blazing the path for them. I'm showing them they can do whatever they want to do, and it's never too late. I'm 45. I started this journey at 43 years old when I first started trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was 43. A lot of folks are sitting at 43 going, I'm too old. No, you're not. Move. Take action. Do it now. You waited this long. Trust me. Keep going. Your purpose is still there. You can still make it happen.
Oh my goodness. So that was beyond powerful. And I'm sitting here like, oh, thinking about the whole journey that I've been through. And, you know, when my mother passed away in 2011, it was just kind of like, okay, what now? And then we went through the whole process of my siblings were with my stepfather, and then they got put into the system, and then it was like that was a whole other stressful moment. And you know, then moving towards getting my sister, and then it was like I have 3 girls now, not just 2.
Right.
But I had a moment, and in the beginning of 2016, literally December 31st of 2015, I was evicted from my home. And that eviction was in the middle of me finishing up writing my first book. That eviction was in the middle of, you know, me having my sister and working on trying to get her custody of her and all of these different things. And I ended up losing my sister. I ended up so many things went on. And I said, okay, I'm not going to be in this moment ever again. And just recently I was going through a folder and I went through and saw the paperwork that I had to go through because I was taking a loan out from my 401k, and I had to, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to apply for a loan and be denied and all types of craziness. And I looked at it and I ripped it up, and it felt like the most powerful moment ever. Because I said, I won't be in that place anymore.
That's it.
And so from that 2 years ago till now, I'm like, wow, I just went and sat at a meeting last night for my oldest daughter to go to Panama.
Wow, that's awesome.
Like and I'm thinking like the journey in just the 2 years. And when you said that it's just been 2 years, the journey in just the 2 years, if you would just take that first step, whatever that first step is supposed to be for you, if you would just take that first step, you don't know where you will be in the next 2 years.
That is so true, because I went through a lot, probably in the last decade. I got divorced left in 2006. The divorce was final in 2007. And it was my intent to only be back in my hometown in Mississippi for a couple of years, just to get my legs back up under me. And then I was like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be back here. Well, I started the business, and so I kind of got stuck. You know, it was one of those things where I was there longer than I wanted to be. And so when I decided to let go of the business, I started contemplating moving. And I kept talking myself out of it. Just kept talking myself out of it. It was fear. I was afraid. I was like, well, I didn't make it in Nashville. Well, actually, you did make it in Nashville. You were there a decade. You made it in Nashville. You know, and so it was like I convinced myself I couldn't do it. And so when I made the decision that not only I was starting this business, that I was going to relocate to Houston, Texas, I kept it secret. There were only 3 people that knew I was planning. And I threatened their lives if they ever told anybody. Because I knew, because I was afraid. Because I knew I was afraid, and I knew if anybody spoke against it, I'd stop. And I decided that what I needed to do to save enough money was I was going to move back in with my mom. Okay, I'm 44, almost 45, and I'm like, am I really finna do this? But I needed to do it to save some money to make the move. So I made that decision in November of 2016. And a few weeks later, something hits one of the windows in my car as I'm driving on the interstate and shatters it. Okay, that was a $300 bill right there to replace that window. Not in the budget, not planned. A few weeks later, hit a pothole, bent a rim, messed up a tire. Thankfully, my dad is a retired mechanic, so he was able to kind of fix the rim, and I just had to buy the tire. So a couple of $100. Here we go again, and it's adding up. Well, I moved out right after Christmas. I had been in that house for over 3 years. Nobody had ever bothered me. They broke in my house that night. After we moved all my big furniture and stuff out, they broke in the house, ransacked it, went through everything. And I didn't take everything of value out of there because I'm like, ain't nobody bothered me. We're good. It's all right. Somebody broke in that night. Matter of fact, it was New Year's Eve. And stole my computer, stole all of my jewelry. And man, they got my son. My son was so upset. They stole his TV, his games, his game systems, all of it. So literally, when I walked in, I had what I called my war room moment. I was like, you know what? If you trying to discourage this, guess what? You just did the exact opposite. I'm in this. I'm making this move. I'm not stopping. You will not stop me. Did I lose some things that were on that computer that I probably would love to have now? Yeah, I did. But guess what I didn't lose? This right here. I had emailed it to my editor that day. Wow. Initially, my spirit was like, at first I was like, and I'm saying in my head, I was like, oh, I'll do that after we finish moving. Spirit said, email that to her now, so you don't have to try and worry about it later. You can rest after y'all finish moving. That was the Lord letting me know something was about to happen. And if I had to start this book over, I don't know if it would have happened. I don't know if I would have had the fortitude in the midst of that to write it over again. But at this point, there's not much you can do to stop me. I mean, literally, okay, Satan, don't try nothing, Lord. Okay, Lord, I need you blocking all the weapons, Lord. Blocking all the weapons. Let me be careful what I speak. But I'm at this point now where I may have moments where I want to give up. But then I start thinking back to what I've gone through on this journey, the financial struggles, the people walking out of my life, the people I thought loved me, supported me, believed in me, and how they've been nowhere to be found in the midst of this journey. And if I can tell anybody anything, if you're contemplating making a change, taking that step, that leap, understand this, be very careful of who you tell. Sometimes you need to move in darkness until it's time for it to be revealed in the light. I wouldn't be sitting here talking right now if I had told certain people. And some of these people who have walked out of my life right now were people I initially would have told, but Spirit said, don't share that. Don't do that. And so I would have conversations with them, and literally I'm holding stuff back that I really want to share. But the spirit is saying, shut up. Because there are people who, okay, I usually have this conversation when I go speak on college campuses, especially when I'm talking to young women. Frenemies are real. There are, matter of fact, I heard Sophia Nelson speak one time, and one of the things she said was there is a fine line between admiration and jealousy. Oftentimes,
you have to repeat that. Repeat it.
There is a fine line between admiration and jealousy. See, often people want to become your friends because they see something in you that they like, that they want. And so they become your friends and they get to know you. And then they hit a point where they want to be you. Okay? But see, you don't understand the cost that I had to pay to be who I am. And when you start to see that, you don't have that in you because you don't believe you have that in there. It's not that you can't do it. You just don't believe you can. So one of two things happen. They either choose to pull away from you and decide to hate on you from a distance, or they decide to hate on you from within your circle. And that's the dangerous one. That's the one that will sit there and talk negative about everything you want to do in your life. You know, when I said that I decided I was going to have my year of yes, like Shonda Rhimes, that anything I was afraid of, I was going to do. There are people who would get there, girl, what you talking about? Why you choosing to do that? Now, I had already moved to Houston before a lot of people in Jackson knew I had moved. I was here. You know, I'm getting messages on Facebook. You know, the last couple of times you went live, you was in Houston. What you doing in Houston? Oh, I live here now. What you mean you live in Houston? I live in Houston. And then here comes the negativity. Girl, what you want to be out there for? It's too big out there. Them people ain't going to like you like we love you here. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, right, okay. And so it's always this negativity. You say you're my friend, but the reality is, I look at it like this, you know, I did a lot of theater. So this is my analogy for who should be in your circle. See, my front row, they're the people who clap the loudest, scream the loudest, give me the standing ovation, and call for the encore every single time. That's who you need on your front row. That's who you need on your front row. Because whereas I thought I had a circle that probably had about 12 to 15 women in it that I felt were truly for Tracie. Got Tracie back. We down to around 5 or 6 right now. Because when I released this, who purchased? Who showed up at the book signing? Matter of fact, I had someone that we had just collaborated on some business before. When I went back home to do my book signing, she called together a group of like 12 women, and we had dinner together. Every single woman at that table bought a copy of the book. Every single woman at that table is now following me on social media and connecting with me and sending me referrals. They met me once, but based off of her recommendation, they support me. But yet, people who've known me my entire life, curious. The reality is this. When people who've known you a long time, they put you in a box and they want you to stay there. And when you decide you're getting outside of that box, they realize that I'm still in my box and she getting out. Now she gonna make me look bad because I'm not doing anything. So don't be afraid to change, because the people you need in your life will come into your life when you begin to make those changes. It's the law of attraction. People who want more and begin to do more, you attract people who do the same thing. And literally, I have walked into Houston and I had somebody comment. I've probably been here maybe 2 or 3 months and was making all the networking rounds. And this lady commented, she said, I've been here like 3 or 4 years. I'm just now meeting the key people in Houston. You've been here a couple of months. How you already connected? I said 2 things. Favor ain't fair. And the other thing is that when it comes right down to it, it's about consistent action. I was determined. I went to some events and they weren't the good events. I was in and out of there in 30 minutes. But when I got to those events and I knew I was connecting with the right people, I stayed and I worked that room. And I didn't go into it saying, well, hi, I'm Tracie and I'm a leadership strategist and I'm looking for referrals. No, I came in and I started asking them about who they were. What do you do? What is really important to you in the community? What's happening in Houston that you think is important for me to get involved with? I'm asking for advice on how to get connected in the city. What things should I be connected in? What nonprofit organizations do you volunteer with? Well, now I'm positioned. I have friends and we share information. We support each other. They'll share my live video, I share theirs. They have an event, I share it and I show up. When I have mine, they'll share it, they'll show up. It's that kind of thing. And when you build true relationships, if you're waiting for somebody to hand you something because you passed them a business card, that's not networking. That's just passing out. That's wasting your money passing out business cards. You got to build a relationship with people. You can't come in with your hand out. Say, here my card, what you can do for me.
No. Exactly. And you know what? I think a lot of people that are coming into the industry, that's what they think. They think, especially when it comes to publishing a book, I'm going to publish this book and then I'm going to do a book signing and everybody's going to come and buy my book. But you haven't built up any community. You haven't built up a tribe. You haven't built up anything. People don't know who you are. And we always know that people buy from who they know, like, and trust. So the same way you're not going to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I want to sleep with you. Well, most people do. Most people. It's the same way you can't go to an event and just say, hey, I want you to buy my book. It's not necessarily going to happen that way. People buy from who they know, like, and trust. And I can give this example. I spoke at an event in Indianapolis in May. And I spoke at the event and I was talking about how some of y'all are showing up to a NASCAR race in a soapbox car.
Oh, and wow.
That's the reality of it. Y'all listen, y'all not in your lane at all. You just showed up to something that you weren't supposed to be in, and that's okay. When we find out, we do better. We either level up and get ourselves a NASCAR, or we take ourselves back down the corner and ride down the street. But I did my segment and, I sat down and had a woman walk up to me. She came and sat at the table with me. She said, you don't know me, but I've been following your story for about a year now. She said, and you helped me get through the most difficult times of my life by going live and while watching you go live and your transparency and sharing your story. And I appreciate that. And in that moment, she bought both copies of my book. She bought the first book and the second book that I had with me. And here it is. This woman had been following me for over a year. Right. So there were other opportunities for her to buy the book, but it was that know, like, and trust factor.
Mm-hmm. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, the difference.
Huge difference. And it's one of those things. And I think that's part of the reason that, you know, the whole idea that people who do know you don't support you, but then you realize that they're not supporting you is for one or two reasons. Either you're not answering the need they have, and that's a reality, or they don't really like you. You know, they just don't really like you. And that's the thing, you know, I'm in that space now where I'm going, okay, well, you know, I know there are some people who like me and believe in me, who bought my book, who don't lead a team, who don't run a business, but they bought my book just out of support for me. That's it. Or as my cousin told me, this signature better be worth something one day, because I'm putting this in some cellophane and putting it on the shelf. I need you to make sure it's gonna be worth something one day. I said, would you sell my book just because? She said, sure will.
That's honesty. That's honesty.
I was like, man, that is just too funny. But that's the thing, you know, when people follow you, and I mean, we live in an age where people can truly get to know you and understand who you are. And I'm gonna be honest, I call myself a recovering perfectionist. I research, I contemplate, I what if for days. But the thing is, when I do decide to take action, I'm moving. Literally, I'm moving. My problem has always been I was trying to get it perfect before I moved. Now I'm learning to put it together in excellence, move and correct, move and correct. And it's getting easier. It's getting easier for me to do that. But one thing I'm coming to realize is that now that I am trying to pull back from always having to be full face of makeup, hair perfectly done, all of that before I go live. Because I'm gonna be honest, okay. I generally go live between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. Okay. And unless I have an appointment, I generally am not going to put on makeup. Just not. But because I don't like having to wash it off. I'm just gonna be real. I just don't like having to wash. I like going in, just, you know, wetting my face, wiping it off at the end of the day and being done. A real simple person. But the thing is that I went live this morning with no makeup. And I don't do that often. I really don't do that often because I haven't really been comfortable in that space. Because the thing is, I've never heard anybody say anything negative about me going live without makeup. I've done it, you know, like if I was right before I was going to work out or while I was taking my walk, I didn't have on makeup then and I would do it. Nobody's ever said anything negative. It's in my head.
Right.
And I actually did it this morning. When I was done, I was like, I said, okay, I didn't die. You know, and the thing is, I said, well, anybody who has an issue with the fact that I didn't have on makeup this morning, well, they can come over here and they can do my makeup.
Come on.
You know, or they can just stop watching me. I don't, you know, and that's the thing. So getting in that space where you're really comfortable in your skin and being okay with who I am and what I look like, and the fact that I have always been dark around my eyes. It's just because I actually went on a little scavenger hunt looking for some pictures of my grandparents, and I kept coming across these pictures, and I was like, dang, I've been dark around my eyes for a long time. So this isn't an age thing. This is what you look like, girl. So I said, you know what, I'm going to embrace that. And I said, okay, from now on, I'm not going to push myself to be in a full face of makeup at 6:30 in the morning, just because I'm going live, and let people see who I am fully. Not just be transparent in my words, but be transparent in the way I present myself completely. And I'm finding that the more transparent I am, the more I'm connecting with people. And, you know, probably one of the best lives I've done in the last couple of weeks, the title was, I really messed up. Everybody wanted to see that.
That people nosy, ain't they
What did
nosy?
Tracy do? What did she mess up? Yeah. And I'm joking. I say, yeah, I've fallen on every part of my anatomy: my face, my rear, my hip, I stubbed my toe. I done it all. Yes, I have. I've been successful, but I also have fallen on my face. I've gotten promoted and I've gotten fired. And it's just the reality of life. And when you go on that journey, there are things that happen. So accepting yourself for who you are is just, there's power in that. And sometimes I have to stop myself from wearing the mask. That mask we wear?
Mm-hmm.
And because I always had to be the strong one, or at least I felt like I had to be the strong one, because everybody came to me to lean on me. And so I never really would allow the veil to drop and allow myself to lean on other people for the most part. I mean, there are people that have probably known me most of my life that probably have never seen me cry. And if you've known me over 20 years and you've never seen me shed a tear, that's huge. And there was a portion of my life where I didn't cry. Girl, I can't stop crying now. I mean, I swear, I cry at commercials.
So that's just, so it's not so I'm not going crazy, is what you're telling me.
No, you're not going crazy. You're not going crazy. I think what it is that we spend so much of our life trying to be strong and trying to be resilient and trying to present this front that nothing bothers us and we're super women and our cape is flying in the wind. Girl, be real. Oh my God. When I think about my life in my 20s and most of my 30s, I was professionally successful. On paper, it looked the bomb. Oh my God, all the corporations and the nonprofits and the political candidates and all of this and the degrees, it looks fabulous. At home, I was a mess. In and out of verbally and emotionally abusive relationships. I didn't feel worthy to be loved. I was raised by a teen mom, became a teen mom, met my dad when I was 29 years old. I joked that this year was my 16th birthday because we've only been together 16 years. So this was my sweet 16. And when I think of it like that, I understand it took 29 years to find him, to get the courage to go find him, and to find out that I spent most of my life thinking he just didn't want to be my dad. He didn't even know my mom was pregnant. I have a brother that is less than a year older than me. And that was why she didn't tell him. She already knew he had another girl pregnant.
Wow.
And so to spend most of your life thinking that if your daddy doesn't want you, why would anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't just go away because you find him. And that's what I thought. I was like, well, I'm good now. I have my daddy. That hole is filled. But baby, you still got to deal with all of the experiences you had, all those years of dating where you accepted less because you thought you were less, where you allow people to lie to you, cheat on you, verbally abuse you, emotionally abuse you. It takes time for that to heal. And it's the thing. I was in counseling going through my divorce before I realized I had been in abusive relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was almost 40 years old. I'd had my daddy a long time, but I didn't know. And most of us don't know because what we talk about are the violent relationships. But there are secret scars that many of us carry that we don't acknowledge because we don't realize, we were just arguing. No, it's not. It goes deeper than that. If you're consistently dating the same type of man, you're consistently marrying the same type of man. That's one of the reasons I'm still single right now, is the fact that when I got divorced in 2007, I said until I was truly ready, I did not want God to bring anybody in until I was ready to be married again. And okay, Lord, am I ready yet? Please tell me I'm ready. Because because it's that thing of you want to be ready to receive love. And when I looked back, I said, there were some good relationships peppered off in there, but I didn't know how to receive the love they were trying to give me because I didn't know how to be lovable. And so for the last few years, I've been working on making Tracie lovable. Because I love hard, but I didn't know how to allow someone to love me hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, being successful professionally, yes, I do want that. But I want to be successful personally too.
And that's
well-rounded woman. Well-rounded woman. I want to earn my superwoman cake. How about that? I don't want it to be a facade. I want to be that woman that can have it all, just not all at the same time. I want that woman that can have it all.
Exactly. And you said it right there that, it's funny because a lot of times people forget that whatever is going on in the personal, it bleeds into the business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
And when you're in retail, they tell you whatever is going on at home, keep it at home. When you're in corporate, they tell you whatever's going on at home, you keep it at home. But the reality is,
you still bring it.
Is that whatever's going on at home, it bleeds into work. Whatever's going on at work, it bleeds into home. And so when you start learning what you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept, it changes on both fronts. Across the board. You got to change it across the board. Because if you change it at work and don't change it at home, it ain't going to do nothing. I remember my job, I said, it's funny because you said your year of yes in 2016 was my year of yes. My year of yes to myself, my year of yes to, finishing the book, yes to traveling, yes to doing all these things. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. But my year of yes means that I had to get comfortable in saying no.
Girl, you done said a word. That's it. No is a complete sentence.
Listen, I had to be comfortable in saying no. And if I did not get comfortable in saying no, I couldn't publish the book because I would just accept anything as a cover. I would accept just anything when it came to somebody doing the editing. I would accept anything when it came to trying to price it. I wouldn't price it right because somebody might tell me it's too high. And so I would lower it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get comfortable in that no. And when I started saying no at work,
they were like this.
You would have thought that I killed a koala bear.
Oh, yes. Girl, I feel you. Because, see, people would call me all the time, and they would dangle the little children in my face and be like, well, could you come do this for the kids? And could you come do this for the kids? And I would always say yes because I love the babies, and the babies love me. And when I realized that I had been functioning at negative for so long, I was drained. I would come home from work, barely able to feed my child before I would collapse on the couch and just do nothing else. Somebody who used to work 14, 16 hours a day and get up the next day and do it again without hesitation. Suddenly could not function, just literally was like, just completely drained. The life had been sucked out of me. And when I realized I can't even remember who it was. Somebody said, you've got to stop giving from an empty cup.
That's it.
And that has become my mantra and something I tell my clients all the time. Look, saying yes to everybody means you are always saying no to yourself. It is not selfish to self-care and to develop yourself. It is important for you to pour and pour and pour into yourself, because the reality is you should be giving from your overflow.
Exactly.
And you can't overflow if you're in the negative. I liken it to this. I call it your mission to zero. See, when people hear the number zero, they think of it's nothing, and you're nothing. It's a negative connotation.
Right.
Well, for me, zero is a special place, because when you hit zero, you are empty of the negativity. You are empty of excuses. And now you're full of possibilities. You're full of potential, and you can launch yourself. Because people are like, I want to be a 10. I want to be a 10. Girl, you got to get to zero before you can be a 10. Because if you're sitting at a -5, how you going to get to being a 10? You got to get to zero first. So we ultimately have to get rid of all that negativity and get to zero. And then we can begin doing some new things. We can have some new things happening. But until we get there, nothing good is going to happen. I consider negativity to be, that negative space to be like stagnant water. Nothing good grows in stagnant water. It's not flowing. It's sitting there just like this.
Stuff is dying.
Flowing. Good stuff is happening when the water's flowing. But you don't start flowing till you hit zero. And then you can get to 2 and 5. And then you can get to a 10. But you got to get rid of all of this that's holding you back. And standing there and look, it's like this. On the other side, on the negative side of zero is your comfort zone.
You better repeat that.
On the negative side of zero is your comfort zone. You better get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where the magic happens. Because when I start to feel comfortable, now I'm like, wait, hold on. I've been in this place too long. What do I need to be doing? Because now I'm like, if I'm not uncomfortable, if nothing's pressing me, then that means I've gotten comfortable where I am, and it's time to press myself again. You know, being your own boss and understanding that there's nobody there to push you. You have to push yourself. You will find yourself where your business gets stagnant and it's not growing and changing and doing the things it should be doing, because you're not growing, you're stagnant, and you're not changing. You are your business. And when you press yourself consistently, that's where you see all of these quantum leaps and these, I've been reading, actually I just finished the book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And I love how he talks about how the little bitty things you do on a day-to-day basis determine whether you're on the curve headed to success or if you're on the curve headed to failure. See, when you're on the curve headed to success, you're consistently doing those things that help you to be successful. They're little things. Something as little as following a basic routine during your day. You know, what time do you get up? What time do you go to bed? What kind of habits do you have throughout the day? How are you pouring into yourself? How are you developing yourself? How are you spending time with them? Whatever those things are, those things keep you on that arc headed towards success. But when you stop doing those things, you start moving back toward failure. It made so much sense to me. I was like, oh my God, this makes sense. Have you had those moments where you was like you were on a tide and it was moving and the success was happening and it was rolling, and then all of a sudden you feel like you just looked up one day? What happened? Well, what happened was you stopped doing what you were doing to start that success arc. And I was like, Man, it's so true. Whenever I don't follow my routine, the day's messed up. Mm-hmm. It's completely off track, and trying to get, but getting people to understand, I have a routine, I have a schedule. That's just it. That's just it. Now, you can be my friend and accept that. I'm not going to be out with you till 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not happening, because I wake up at 4:30 a.m. So I can't be out with you till 3, because that throws my whole routine off, my whole natural time clock off. Mm-hmm. So as a result, you have this situation where you change things and they're not changing for the better. Or like he said, it's the little things that are easy to do, but also easy not to do. Mm-hmm. Think of it like this. You say you want to lose 10 pounds. And I think probably just about every woman in America has said they want to lose 10 pounds at some point in their life.
Pretty much.
Okay, so, but you know the things you need to do to lose weight. The dietary changes, the changes in your activity. Okay. Well, one day you decide, well, you know what? I'm not going to go do that walk today. Well, guess what? The next day it gets that much easier not to go on that walk. And the next day, and the next day. Because once you start that day, that habit of not doing, you just switched your curve from success to failure.
That's it.
And, it's like, is it going to kill you today? Nope. Is it going to hurt you today? Nope. But in 6 months, are you going to be then reach the goal you have for yourself? No. So we have to commit to that. And that, I'm telling you, that book has me I'm laying out some plans for 2018. And I'm looking at some changes I'm going to be making in how I keep myself on the habits that help me to be successful. And that's one thing I want people to understand. It's not that successful people are special. It's not anything special. It's about a mindset. It's about a decision that you make day in, day out to do what you need to do to be successful. And it's real easy when you work for yourself from home to not do everything you should be doing every single day. You can get distracted.
Tell this truth. Tell the truth. Shame the devil.
You might think, oh, you know what? I'm going to go clean the kitchen. I'm going to go wash some clothes. Or, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to watch some TV. Oh, but wait a minute. You need to write these proposals. You need to make these phone calls. Mm-hmm. You need to, check on your clients. Whatever it is that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis, if you're not doing it, you're not moving toward success. You're shifting your flow toward failure. And it's amazing. And it is that whole thing of, how they say 5% of the people are willing to do what no one else is willing to do, to live like no one else is willing to do.
That's it.
Let me put it like this. I'm doing my best every single day to be part of that 5%. That's it. I already spent enough time letting life live me. I'm living my life now.
I definitely understand that. And so I have to ask this question, because I ask it of every guest that comes on, is that when it comes to writing that book, what was a blunder that you had in the writing process, either in the writing process, in the publishing process? What was that thing? Like I've talked about in the past, my third book, when I uploaded it for the pre-sales, and I uploaded the synopsis, the cover and the synopsis, because I thought I had enough time to upload the regular part of the book. And I didn't realize that Amazon sent it out early. And so people got the book cover and the synopsis.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
And I had to go through the whole process of learning. Okay, well, there's a time frame that you have to go through. There's a whole behind the scenes stuff, and things like being able to, you can switch something on your Amazon account. So if you buy a Kindle book and the author changes it, you get the updates and things like that. I learned all that wonderful stuff because thought I was doing something.
Girl, I feel you. Oh my goodness. I would say probably two things. One is making sure I have an editor on board before I start writing and work with the editor through the process. Because it took me about 4 months to write the book. But now granted, I had about 2 months where I was without an editor after my friend passed, but literally I started looking for an editor in January. I started editing in January of this year. I didn't release my book till July. Now, there was a lot of issues in that. Some of it was finding the right person to edit the book. Because just because someone edits nonfiction that edits fiction books doesn't mean that they can handle editing nonfiction, because it's a different genre and it's a different mindset. And I kept dealing with these folks who kept wanting me to change my chapter titles. Your chapter title, Do It With Them, that has some connotations to it. What do you mean, it? I said, you got to read the chapter to find out what the it is. So, so I was running into all of this, and I'm just sitting here going, okay, you know what, y'all don't get it. Let me find somebody else. And so literally I went through a period for about 2 or 3 months where I was just trying to find the right editor. And then once I finally found the right editor, then the process began. And the second piece of it is this. When I do my pictures, I'm going to be thinking about the picture I want on the cover. You notice there's somebody missing from the cover of my book, right? Because I had done 2 photo shoots without any thought to book cover. No thought whatsoever to book cover. So none of the pictures I took worked. Both of them were location shoots. So there was no blank screen behind me for them to easily edit out the background. And so every picture they tried to edit out the background did not look right. They had my fro all jacked up and not working. I mean, it was a mess. So I had to, and then I got stuck trying to decide on a cover because it wasn't what I wanted, because I wanted my picture on it. But I realized, I said, you know what? I can spend months trying to figure out what this cover is going to look like, changing colors, changing fonts. Put the book out. And that's what I did. I had to finally just put the book out because I was caught up. And I said, the editing process took longer than the book. That doesn't make sense. So I've challenged myself this time that I'm in the process of writing the next book. And I'm thinking now, what do I want this look to be on the cover of this? What concept am I thinking about? So when I go and do the pictures, I'll have that in my head, have that conversation with the photographer so we can make sure that happens, so that I have a collection of shots that can be used on book covers. And so, but I didn't know. I was like, hey, my friend takes pictures and we all up on Jackson State University campus and I'm posing, and they're great for social media. They're perfect for social media because it shows my personality. But I'm putting out a leadership book and I have nothing in a suit. Nothing in a suit. And literally, and the thing is, there's still that mindset about women not showing our arms. Well, I'm a woman over 40 and I have moments, so most of my tops are sleeveless. So so that when I have my moment, I can cool off real fast. I don't tend to wear a lot of sweaters anymore because it just doesn't make sense. But when you go through that process the first time, there are so many things you learn through the process. I mean, I learned about myself that I actually was writing and trying to edit at the same time. My mother's parents were educators, and I could hear my grandmother in my head correcting my grammar, correcting sentence structure. That paragraph is way too long. I'm hearing these types of things as I'm writing, and I had to learn to step away and just say, just write. I would have to stop and go, okay, you know what? it can be edited later just right. And once I got that straight in my head, I was able to get it done and then edit later. So I'm learning that every time. I think this one is going to happen a little bit faster, and then the next one will happen, and it happen a little bit faster, because as you learn, and I was, I'm trying to be a rebel, and I'm not going to use Amazon, and I try to use all these other platforms. My coach is patient. Let me just say that my coach is patient. He called me. He said, "Where are you at with getting your book published? Where are you at, with getting the first proof? What's happening?" And I'm like, "Well, man," I said, we're having difficulty with the layout on the book on this platform." And he's like, "Why are you using that? Use Amazon. Use CreateSpace." I'm trying to do something different, right? So he got there and he very calmly said, "Copy genius, don't create mediocrity." And he said, "That's all I'm gonna say about it." He said, "Who did I tell you I use?" I said, "Okay, okay, I got it. And literally, I had been going back and forth with these two other platforms that shall remain nameless. I'm not going to badmouth them. I was getting an error on the cover on one, on the internal layout on the other. Went to CreateSpace. 48 hours. My book was ready to request the proof. 48 hours. I spent 2 weeks trying to do something different. Different is not always good. So I went in a different direction, and and learning the whole process about copywriting your book, and something I didn't know about getting a Library of Congress number for your book so it could be put in libraries. I didn't know anything about that. So this one doesn't have a Library of Congress number, but the next one will. So you learn, and then once people know you're writing and they're writing, they start sharing information with you. Well, this is what I did. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, sometimes operating in the dark is a good thing, but other times it's not. Because I missed out on some resources because I was holding it so close because I was so afraid of the wrong person finding out. So now that I'm out here, it's like, okay, if y'all got advice, just share it, please. I'm not going to be offended. Because I had somebody inbox me. I had posted my mission statement on my Facebook page. And she said, "I don't want to offend you." She said, "But I think you should rephrase it like this." And I looked at it and I went, "You know what? You're right." Because the thing was, we kept saying something about the statement's not quite right. But what did I tell you? I'm done with trying to be perfect. I'm just going to do it in excellence. And it was one word she added that just made it all flow. And I said, "Thank you. I appreciate that." She said, I wasn't sure if I should say anything." I said, "No, I'm glad you did. I appreciate it." I said, "If you see anything else, honey, send it on." Because like I said, it's about operating in excellence. I want to get better. So I'm open to feedback. And it's funny because I'll ask my clients for feedback. I ask anybody that participates in any challenge I do on Facebook, or even just listening to my live stream, tell me if if you think I'm crazy, tell me. Seriously.
Don't let me walk around with spinach in my tooth. Just let me know.
Tell me. Let me know. If what I'm saying is so off the wall, I'm open to dialogue. I'm open to conversation. If you'll really listen to me, I'll really listen to you. Because what I'm sharing is my opinion from my perspective, my experiences. So your perspective is valuable to me because I want to make sure that what I'm putting out is balanced and it makes sense and it helps people. So you may not be comfortable enough to hit the live button, but inbox me. Tell me, "Tracie, what you talking about? That don't make sense, Tracie. This is what I think." Please share. It's okay. I'm open to it. Don't attack me. don't call me out my name. Don't threaten my life. You know, Periscope. Sometimes the
Yeah,
posts
Periscope
jumping
look
on
funny.
Periscope. Yeah, I've had to. Normally, I try not to block folks. I really try not to block folks, because I see them. They're in there trying to be a distraction. I try not to, but if they continue, like usually, as long as you just disagreeing with what I'm saying and you're respectful, I'm not gonna block you.
Right. Exactly.
Call me out my name, are a threat, because I've gotten a few of those. Then yeah, I'm finna block you. I'm not even finna go there. One day I borrowed a page from Felix Anderson, and I said, I pray for you. I bless you. I pray that God gives you a revelation in your life. And they dropped off. They just disappeared. If they were still there, they didn't say anything else after I said that. And I got there and I said, okay, I think I'm gonna have to try that more often.
I've had trolls start fighting each other.
Really?
I've had, because people always laugh. I tell you, listen, if you come into my broadcast, you don't know what you're going to hear. You don't know what's going to go down. But I've had broadcasts where trolls have been like, hey, calm all that down. I like what she's saying. You know, you gotta, I love your spirit. I love your story that you're sharing. And, you know, I love your energy. Like, literally. And my followers, or those who have been in the broadcast, have been cracking up laughing, because they're like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah. I've been amazed. And like I said, when I first started just doing live, period, I was petrified. And because I was like, I can't take back anything. I can't edit anything. The perfectionist. And now I actually function better live than I do recorded. Mainly because I'm out of my head and I'm just in the moment.
Yep.
And you know, my coach is all in my head. When you're in your head, you're dead. Because if you're not in the moment, you're not really connecting with the people you're talking to. So I try my best now to stay in the moment. Even when I'm recording, I'm getting that point of where it's just like, I'm trying to do this in one take. That's the whole goal, is to get me down to one take. I'm down to about 3. Usually I'm at a point now where usually 2 to 3, I can get it. And I'm able to move on. Because one day I was trying to do a 60-second recording. There were 37 takes.
Yep. I remember those moments. And
I said, we cannot spend time doing this. No, we gotta be clear on what we're gonna say, how in front of the camera, do it, done it. I've actually started recording on location. I was over in Herman Park in downtown Houston earlier this week recording some stuff for my clients. And I said, I'm taking you on the road with me. And I'm out here in the middle of the park with my tripod and my iPad recording. And I had a guy walk up and start talking to me while I was recording. And he was like, so are you live? And I was like, no, I'm not live. I'm recording. And I went to stop it. And he was like, no, don't stop it. I want to be on the recording. And I was like,
yes.
You just never know. And so
you never know. You meet some interesting people, don't we?
Yeah. But it was just, you know, and getting comfortable in front of the camera was something that, as much as I love to have my picture taken, I always had issues with the whole idea of being recorded. And me not saying somebody else's words, like a script. Like if somebody gives me a script, I got you, I can do that. But my words, I struggled with that at first, because I was always so confident on stage, but I generally was using someone else's words. Now I have to do me. And then there's that thing in the back of my mind, are you gonna like me? And I just realized, I said, who should like me will like me. I say that to myself before I step out. I pray, and it's that whole thing of I said, Lord, the people you need me to touch, I want them to be touched. Give me the words, give me the action. I'm your vessel. That's it. And when I get there and I stay there and it's about the message and not about me, it's an amazing time.
Exactly. Oh my goodness, this interview has been phenomenal. I love it.
It's so much
fun. So I definitely, guys, you guys know that if you want to be on one of my episodes of Speak Easy, go to bit.ly/talk to Altavis, and you can schedule your interview as well if you are a speaker or an author. It has been a phenomenal episode being able to sit here and speak with you, Tracie. Oh my goodness, the nuggets that you were dropping today. I know somebody somewhere is going to be changed by it. And so I want you to let them know how they can reach out to you and how they can find you on social media.
All right. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at I am Tracie L. James, and I'm that special Tracie that's spelled Tracie. And you can also find me, I am on LinkedIn, Tracie L. James. And I do have a new YouTube channel. We're slowly putting content there coming from my live streams and also some pre-recorded content that we're starting to share. So connect with me, reach out to me. My website is tracieljames.com. Come learn more about how to make that mission to zero excuses, more results, so that you can be an excuse-proof leader.
I love it. And guys, if you want to reach out to me or have any other questions, by all means, contact at altavispelzer.com. I look forward to talking to you guys and seeing you guys on the next episode of Speak Easy. Don't forget to press it out.